Hi, everyone. I'm back again with another book pick, and this month's book recommendation is entitled, What is Biblical Theology? A Guide to the Bible's Story, Symbolism, and Patterns by Dr. James M. Hamilton. You know, as Christians, we often treat the Bible as if it's like a rule book or a manual for life that God's given to us, as if God's commandments are just rules he's given us that make him happy. Or we read the Bible stories like they're moral lessons for how we're to build our own character. So we're to dare to be a Daniel or slay the giant problems of life the way David slayed Goliath. We tend to read the Bible this way because we see it in bits and pieces. And to be honest, a lot of us find it hard not to. We've been taught that way or just learned that way, or we just picked up our Bible when we became Christians and started reading the stories and figured that's what they were there for. When in reality, the Bible is actually one grand story. It's unified. It's tied all together from start to finish, telling one great story. And that's why I've chosen this book by Dr. Hamilton on biblical theology. I think this is just a great resource to help Christians learn how to read the Bible as a whole. This is what he says in the opening of his book. He says, to do biblical theology is to think about the whole story of the Bible. We want to understand the organic development of the Bible's teachings, that's the various lessons it teaches us, so that we are interpreting particular parts, whatever the lesson or example or warning or commandment might be, in light of the whole. Why I like this book is that it's a short introductory guide, and so it's very accessible, I think, for any Christian to pick up and read, to learn to do biblical theology. And I like the way that Hamilton has kind of wrapped his teaching around three main themes of the Bible as he seeks to explain or unpack the whole story of the Bible. The first section is on the Bible's big story, that is, the grand narrative or the grand story that the Bible is telling. And I love the way he points out and makes clear to us that one of the clearest ways to understand the Bible as a story is to realize that the story is not about us. That's something I've said before, and I think that's something that Christians need to get excited about, to realize it's about our Creator. It's His story, and that story that we're a part of, which is very exciting. He then goes on to, in the second section, to talk about the Bible's symbols. And this is really, I think, fascinating and interesting and helpful, realizing that the Bible is filled with symbols and imagery and typologies and patterns that run throughout. And when you realize that the Bible is telling one grand story, it allows you to begin to see all of these little snippets and signs of continuity when the symbols and patterns and types in the Bible pop up over and over again, and you realize that this isn't just coincidence, that they're actually tied together. The third thing he points out is how the Bible is ultimately wrapped around one grand love story. That is, it's like one of those epic tales that we see in movies or read about in books, where it's a tragedy of two separated lovers. And the story keeps us engrossed because we're watching to see how the lovers will overcome trial and adversity and suffering, hoping that they'll be reunited. And of course, the good movies and the good books have the happily ever after endings. And that's how the Bible unfolds. It's this tragedy of how our loving Creator was separated, or rather, his creation that he loved was separated from him because of creation's rebellion, that is our sin. But the story unfolds of this loving Creator lovingly working to redeem his creation. And of course, we know it's a love story because of the way the Bible ends. It ends with a wedding. That is the wedding between Jesus, our Creator, the bridegroom, and his bride, the church, his creation, his people. The other thing, something that Hamilton says near the end, which I think is wonderful for us as the church to hear, is that when you understand the Bible's stories and symbolism, it teaches us as the church to understand who we are, what we face, and how we should live as we wait for the coming of our King and Lord. Anyway, this is one of our passions here at Prepared to Answer, is helping Christians to better read and understand the Bible. And How to Do Biblical Theology by James Hamilton is a great resource. Again, I like it because it's accessible. It's fairly short. It's about 100 pages. So it's something that I think any Christian can pick up and enjoy and benefit from. So there's my book pick for you, and we'll see you next time.